Hey guys, Marumbo Poetry here, all the way from Malawi. Really excited to be on this. Shout out to Howard Moyo and all the good people at Urban Influencers for having me on. Shout out to Vipasso for hosting me. If you're ever in the long way, you need to show up to Vipasso. They make the best smoothies in town. And then big thank you also to Farfetch Photography for the visuals. Yeah, as I said, my name is Marumbo and I'm going to be giving you 3 poems. And my first poem is titled Faith and Fathers. I hope you enjoy it. I realized that I was getting older when I could identify that churches and laundromats have so much in common. You come to be cleansed here. It's not only tears, shirts, and sins under rugs that come to be cleansed here. The offering basket offers more than just retribution. Your contribution could be enough for a passport to get into heaven, or maybe a get out of jail free card. You see, churches have a monopoly on the biggest market in Africa, hope. We all need to believe that there is something better for us out there. If not in this life, then surely in the next. You see, for some, earth is as close to hell as they will ever get. And for others, earth is as close to heaven as it gets. He did not promise that there would be no pain, that the fire would not burn. But however, he did promise that he would be with us in the furnace, in this menace that we call life. And so Dennis, roll the die. Life is worth living and God has a monopoly on where the die lands. Take a step of faith forward. Skip over jail. Take your chance. Build a house or 2. Worship is rent and it is due every day. I fear for my soul. More so in my poems. I'm afraid of leading others astray. I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing. Painting an image of heaven or something under the sea, worshipping at the altar of snaps and claps and not the praise of the king. Making an idol of this gift, hiding my mediocrity behind cliche Christian quotes and verses as if the gospel isn't enough to unwrap a mummy and make a blind man see. You see, I'm afraid of digging my grave, coming to kill myself, becoming like them. Those that take advantage of people's faith. Never being honest. Always wearing my Sunday best. As if these days we aren't closed on Sunday, and yet you have my chicken fillet, a chicken sandwich away from being in sin. Hold the selfies. Put the gram away. When he walked on altar, the only likes and views that he got were from shocked faces and jaws dropped that would doubt him to calm the storm. I've never had a dream that I could buy my way to heaven. The gravity of my sin always weighed down on my shoulders like a diamond necklace. Chains are chains, even if they're made of gold. He came to set the sinners free, and if this were a ship, I would be aboard. They say for every action there is an opposite and equal reaction, so everything that goes up must come down. And so when I am down 6 feet in the ground, and I can't wait to take flight when he comes to call me home, the only laws I can't wait to break are Newton's. I realized that I was getting older when I could argue with my father on faith and scriptures and sometimes agree to disagree because I felt that he was wrong. When the verses that he made me memorize as a child came back to me like an endless flood of grace and song, this well is deep enough to hold my secrets, to water all these camels, to tell the city of a man who told me all about myself, my struggle with lust, my holding on to the past, my 5 wives, my 9 lives, the forgiveness of my sin. I've lived a lifetime enough to know that the older I get, the more I don't know. And so I bask in the sun of his grace. I may never know how or why he loves me, but I know that he loves me. My next poem is a poem that I wrote that's titled Old Man, and I'll just get into it. It was the mailman, the math teacher, pastor, priest, brother, uncle, Uber guy, father, husband, boyfriend, partner, regular guy by the corner, desk mate, these and the many other men who decided their fate. These men, like most men, don't have a sign on their forehead that says rapist, but the common thread between them is that they are men. So when she says all men, she means all men. The sad thing about all of this is that about a week ago, if you had asked me if I was this man, I would have probably said no. These men are not some mythological creatures in fairy tale stories that fall on deaf ears in police cells, headmasters' offices, confession booths, hospital hallways. They are here. We can point to them. They are me. I am these men. I acted like the nice guy. I walked her to her car. I tried to kiss her. I put my hands on her. I made her feel powerless and alone. I could have been the one to rape her. I could have muzzled her screams. I laughed at the jokes. I didn't call you out. I laughed at you when you didn't hit it. I fist bumped you when you did hit it. Did you realize that you did hit it? Her soul, her pride, her worth. I am toxic. The reason you are emotionally bruised, traumatized, scared to walk to cars alone at night. I am the cancer that grows in the not all men speech. That it could never be me speech. That what was she wearing speech. That she led me on speech. That you believe her speech. That you know me, bro speech. I am among these men. I too need repentance. I too need grace. So here I stand, stripped of all ego and self-righteousness, realizing that I too need saving. Because when she says all men, she means all men. And so my last piece is a poem that I wrote for her, and it's titled, I Want. I want to love you the same way the moon loves the sun. Day in and day out, through the times and the seasons, even in the moments where you give me no reason. I want to love you even when we grow old and you develop that bag under your eyes and you stop believing my lies. Our love story will be a story told throughout the ages, a story of how a fierce, fiery Tumbuka phenomenon became the centerpiece of my space. My friend David is sitting in the back. He recently told me that ever since I met you, my face seems to be glowing. I told him it was probably because I get nervous around you and I sweat a lot. Or maybe it's because of the Vaseline blue seal, or maybe it is because I am the moon to your shine. I am what the priest used to predict the falling of the rain, the love tears from the gods that water the earth to bring about life. You see, loving you will be nothing short of a rain dance. I want to know the heights with which I can love you, like Egyptians building pyramids to worship the sun. You are a goddess and I am a son of a son, so our love story must have been written in the stars by the very hand of God. I swear, I must have cursed Cupid the first time that I saw you, for all the times that he shot me with his arrow when I was looking for love in the wrong places. I made a mess of love. To be fair, love is like the room of a 14-year-old who doesn't have anything in his place, but if you ask him, he will tell you that he knows exactly where everything is. I made a mess of love, but if you had asked me, I would have told you that I know exactly where everything is. And to be fair, love isn't always tidy. And so I kept my hair uncombed throughout the months of January and February. Even though I looked and bathed, I kept it so as a token of my love for you. And your love drove me to a desert, and I lived off the sweet honey voice notes that you sent me and the locust swarm of pictures that you sent to my phone. And I nicknamed myself John because I am a Baptist after all, and you are like the river Jordan. So I came to you to plunge myself beneath the flood of your care so that I could learn to die to myself and then learn to love you again. I want to love you the same way hair food loves nappy hair, in a nurturing and caring kind of way, so that maybe your nappy hair can grow into a dreadlock and we can break the deadlock of loving badly. I badly want to love you even when you go bold and decide to cut your dreadlock off. I want to be bold enough to love you the same way a mother loves a child. And just for the record, my mother likes you, and if you know anything about her, she doesn't like everyone. Studies show that 97.3% of all females are crazy, and they have at least 3 personalities. So before I get down on one knee and ask you to marry me, I want you to dump me 4 times so that I can learn to love each and every one of your 3 personalities and then learn to love you again. I want to love you the same way the watchmen love to see the dawn, the same way government officials like to see 4 on the clock, because to them it is a sign that they are going home. You are what I think about when I hear the words home. The sound of the TV left on, the soft caressing of the carpet, the drip in the sink that needs fixing, the calling of my mother in the corridor, the slamming of my little sister's door, the whistling of the leaves outside, the barking of the dogs, the slamming of the gate. You are what I think about when I hear the words home. I wanted to know all the ways with which I could tell you that I love you, so I signed up for some Swahili, French, and Tumbuka classes so that I could learn them, so that I could tell you in them how much I want to love you, but still I felt that that wasn't enough, so I connived with the sun, the moon, and the stars, so that every day and night you would look up and read a poem written by me of how much I want to love you, and still I felt that that wasn't enough, so I bribed the air so that with each breath that you take, you would inhale me and exhale a poem written by me of how much I want to love you. I want to love you as abruptly as this poem ends. So Handsome Harry wasn't too pleased that I decided to do 3 poems, so We'll put in some work together and try to sneak in one last poem. So this is my very last poem. Big shout out to George's Food Truck. If you're ever any longer, you need to look them up. They make the best tacos in town. Shout out to Hazy Angola for the Conquer merch. Look up Hazy Angola. Again, Farfetch Media, Farfetch Photography for the visuals. And my last poem is titled Colorblind, and I hope you enjoy it. After coming off the phone, my Irish white friend who spent some time in Burundi tells me that his French-speaking white friend tells him that he speaks French like a black man. He tells me it's a compliment. The other person just didn't know it, and that now he is as cool as a white man can be. But to this day, I don't know what to do with this memory. When I was 8 and a little bit more adventurous than my then 6-year-old sister, I on my tippy toes, trying to stay afloat in the shallow end of the big pool, and her, being wiser than I, opted for the kiddie pool. But as soon as her black skin touched the clear chlorine waters, the Indian parents gestured to the black nannies to pull the brown kids out of the pool. My little sister, confused and unassuming, went from black nannies to brown kids to black father. My father looked at her and smiled and told her not to worry. Just more water for her to play with. I don't remember much of my childhood, but to this day, I don't know what to do with this memory. About a year ago, I attended a party at my colored friend's house full of coloreds and white people, and I, one of the few black persons there with the coloreds, speaking and acting like they were closer to their God because, you know, they were. I got a lecture from a Greek girl whose parents have lived in this country long enough for them to consider themselves Malawians, but not exactly black. She said, maybe, just maybe, I get a bit too sensitive and angry at some of the jokes and comments because maybe, quite frankly, honestly, I am insecure about being black. I usually have quick responses to the words that are thrown my way, but to this day, I don't know how to react to that. What do you say when your voice isn't enough of a shield for them to not see your color or at least ascribe it to you? What can you do when you aren't young enough not to be taught that hate and discrimination, that the color of some skins is a curse to be avoided, and if it boils down to it, to be hated? What do you say when you're taught how to feel, how to act about who you are because of who you are? You bite the bullet, remain cocky ever so slightly, pointing out the fact that we aren't colorblind and that your presence is a crayon reminding us that we shouldn't be. Remain cocky ever so slightly, pointing out the fact that some of these jokes and comments only stem from the fact that a group of people believe that they are better solely based on the color of their skin, and these days it's not enough what you make. It's not enough what you make. You can't make enough not to be considered the thief in the room. Or that the reason you have nice shoes on is that you got them from the flea market, or that the reason you are at this party is because you are the son of the help. Remember that a house nigga, a rich nigga, an educated nigga is still a nigga. Like the coloreds in the room aren't proof that this superiority complex is a fallacy. Like the white boy who's hitting on the prettiest girl at this party who just happens to be black isn't a sign that horny knows no boundaries, even though we might not decide to love because it has been taught otherwise. Like the black boy hitting on the white girl who isn't as pretty but has a good heart, isn't looking for financial freedom. I pray we free ourselves from the notion that we can hate each other solely based on the color of our skins, and maybe start to focus on the color of our blood, the red crimson of life that flows through all of us, connecting us. We are connected by something greater than the color of our skins. And you see, God created color. So color is love. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big shout out again to the good people at Urban Influencers for having me on. Shout out to Vipasso, shout out to George's Kitchen, shout out to Farfetch Media, shout out to Conquer. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of